We are essentially entering a new industrial revolution.
We're going to wipe out millions of jobs in the United States.
Well, how far we are going to go could easily be that everything that really can be automated.
I don't think it would be responsible to just let the consequences rip, and then we find that large numbers of people are displaced and miserable and angry and well armed, and we just figure, well, let's see what happens.
How do I stop this? You can't.
We need to rethink capitalism itself. And we have another 5 years, 7 years before it gets ugly. But in the 5 to 10 year period, we will start to see turmoil, and we will have to start thinking about this. It's time to start learning and adapting right now.
You get offline, I think something's going to happen.
What happens now? Now it's up to you.
Somehow, he's overriding the system's priorities.
The human element will always be present. Compassion, fear, instinct, they will always interfere with the system.
Dead or alive?
Technology puts autonomous vehicles in the driving seat. A future in which self-driving vehicles travel our roads is edging closer as automakers introduce an ever-increasing range of innovations to their cars.
Self-driving cars really are the tech of the future, which paints a world where convenience and comfort are put first to eliminate the stress of daily commutes, allow efficiency to dictate the road, and even save countless lives that would have otherwise been lost in deadly crashes.
Arizona police have released a video of the moments before a self-driving Uber hit a pedestrian in Tempe. The footage, taken from inside the test vehicle, shows the car driving along a dark road when a woman walking a bicycle appears in the headlights. The vehicle's human backup driver is looking down until seconds before the crash.
We're learning more about the driver killed while riding in his self-driving car. A witness now tells Inside Edition the driver may have been watching a Harry Potter movie at the time of the crash. But did that play a role in the crash? Jim Murray takes a closer look.
Was he really watching a Harry Potter movie? That's the question hanging over the horrific crash that killed Tesla owner Joshua Brown, the first fatality in a self-driving car.
There was a movie playing.
Witness Robert Van Cav showed Inside Edition the path the car took after it hit a tractor trailer carrying a cargo of blueberries.
When it came in between those two trees, went through the pole, came right here. You can see the tire tracks right here.
Cops say they found a portable DVD player like this one in Joshua Brown's Tesla.
The question now is, will we prepare for the change that seems sure to be headed our way?
The experts, academics, tech leaders are all sounding the same alarm bell, which is that automation is going to destroy certain jobs and tasks. And I think it's incredibly important that those that are reaping the benefits of this technological progress contribute their share to address the downsides as well.
Hari Srinivasan finds it could well happen with advances in artificial intelligence, or AI, transforming the workforce. That's the latest report in our series on invention and innovation breakthroughs.
As more and more jobs are automated, Jennings' experience could be a harbinger of things to come for American workers. That's the argument made in a new book, Rise of the Robots, Technology and the Threat of a Jobless Future by Martin Ford.
Going forward, we may see automation kind of unfold in a top-heavy pattern where a lot of the best jobs are the ones to get impacted. Lawyers, pharmacists, certain areas of medicine like pathology and radiology, any kind of white-collar job where you're sitting at a computer at a desk, the people we might call office drones, those are going to be very susceptible to this.
And there could be major disruptions to the U.S. economy, says Daphne Kohler. She's an AI scientist and also president of the massive online learning company Coursera.
We're already starting to see jobs that were thought of as intelligent being outsourced to computers. So for example, A large part of a paralegal's job, which is hunting down the relevant references for a particular problem, is something that you would have thought requires intelligence, and now they're pretty good software systems that do not 100% of a paralegal's job, but 80 to 90%.
Will artificial intelligence software do to the paralegal what the tractor did to the farmer?
It's quite likely that that will happen, and I think that there will be entire job categories that will go away.
It's a way to shop that's somewhere between the checkout line and the click and buy, a cashier-free store. Amazon is introducing it to Seattle for the first time. They call it Amazon Go. You scan your phone, grab your items, and leave.
Hey folks, and welcome to another video from aplaintruth.info and questioning everything to find truth. What are people for going forward? Robots are coming from jobs as many as 800 million worldwide. What we can see here is that as many as 800 million workers will lose their job by 2030, equivalent to a fifth, 20% of the global labor force. Now remember, over a third of the world is living in under $2 a day. That's according to a report from McKinsey, 46 nations, 800 occupations. The consulting company said both developed and emerging countries will be impacted, and we'll get into all the different impacts. But here they're promoting, saying that from 2000 to 2010, automation replaced 88% of the manufacturing jobs. And here they're getting scared it's coming for the Wall Street banksters as well. As the rich are going to get richer, the lower down below are not going to be needed no matter what your job is. And it's all going to be a shrinking labor force going forward. But they're never going to show you that the labor numbers are going down, because there'll be jobs to clean up stuff. There'll be jobs to fix the robots. There'll be jobs to anything that requires minimal brain power at $15 an hour, and that's why they raised the minimum wage after over a decade for this universal basic income, which we'll get into as well. But it's going to get worse, and a lot worse, as we're going to get into here. Here we see Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak says humans will be robots as pets. And he goes on to say, previously stating that a robotic future powered by artificial intelligence would be scary and very bad for people, that robots would, quote, get rid of the slow humans, end quote. They're going to be smarter than us, and if they're smarter than us, they'll realize they need us. Well, that's hopefully they'll realize they need us. Artificial intelligence. We want to be the family pet and be taken care of all the time. Some of the most high-profile technology pioneers and the greatest minds of science, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Stephen Hawking, warned of the dangers of AI. Boy, it's here and it's coming. So if we get into this, we can see all the jobs that are going to be lost here. Robot sales, again, increased 59%, and that's supposed to spike in a hockey stick even greater. 59% of manufacturing jobs could be gone in 10 years. 90% of welders, cutters, and solderers, 73% of food service, 53% of retail jobs, 43% of finance, and jobs in research. The top three employers in the U.S., military, retail, and food service. Okay, so they're coming for everything. They're coming for everything. And they said you didn't see the military, but the U.S. military will have more robots than humans by 2025. And then we get into these bright ideas, including flying taxis to companion the robots. And we see down here, no hands on deck, fully autonomous cars for the masses is coming. In Norway, they have plans to transport fertilizer via electric powered ships. We've got driverless trucks going across the country as well. But then, as we really need our robots, we're going to have iCaregiver. A senior represents one of the fastest growing demographic groups in the developed world, but demand for professional caregivers far outstrips supply. How can we fill the gap? Consider a little silicon. Traditionally, robots have been tasked with performing work that is dirty, dangerous, and dull, but this new generation of robots is emerging to meet a complex psychological need: companionship. All right? And you're going to pay for it. Digital farming, they're getting rid of the farmers. They're going to have just automated farming equipment. What are farmers for? Why will farmers be needed? Slicker cities now. This is where they're heading with the Agenda 21. Cities of the future will be fitted with sensors and smart dust to allow residents to monitor everything from traffic to noise to air pollution. Yay! And we're going to have autonomous vehicles, taxi bots, and van bots. And don't forget slaughter bots. Garbage will be whisked away in underground vacuum tubes, and homes will be wired as Los Alamos National Laboratory, or wireless, at least the vision of many urban planners. In October, Sidewalk Labs, a subsidiary of Alphabet, the Google company, announced it will commit $50 million to redesigning 12 acres of waterfront in a smart city. And also we have Mr. Bill, reduce the population, Gates, is getting involved in the city of tomorrow. He's putting in $80 million in a smart city in Phoenix called Belmont. The community will include 80,000 homes as well. Then we're coming up with flying cabs. They're going to come sooner than you think. Uber may soon live up to its German name. Uber envisions a fleet of electric flying vehicles equipped with multiple rotors that could take off and land vertically and reach speeds as much as 200 miles per hour, and has partnered with real estate investment company to develop 20 rooftop terminals in Los Angeles. And then here we see Foxconn to cut over 10,000 jobs as robotics take over. Foxconn, the largest manufacturer of smartphones and computers and whatnot, 1.3 million employees in China is going to be replaced by robots. And Foxconn has come to Wisconsin. It's going to open a big factory. It's going to be robotic. It's not going to be It's not going to be hiring that many people because it's going to be a robotic factory as the U.S. has turned into China and become the manufacturing for the BRIC countries, as I've said many times. Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa are the new consumer debt countries, and the United States needs to be re-educated and retooled. That's what I'm betting they're going to convert all these online malls that are going out of business, or not online. These malls that are brick and mortar are going out of business and be turned into internment camps for re-education for manufacturing. Don't think it's going to happen. Think again and look at the malls and see how they're set up. And Walmart, if you didn't know, Sam Walton was the head of the internment camps for the Japanese. Walmart backwards is martial law. So one of the areas that's gaining traction as the economy is going to collapse with our massive, oh gosh, just so much trillions of dollars in debt being added more and more with the new administration. The world debt is getting so increased. The collapse is going to be just out of business for everybody. Remember 2007, 2008, when the stock market collapsed over 46%. That is nothing compared to what's going to happen next, because everything since then has been built on massive borrowing and debt of the future. So Stockton, California is going to pay $500 a month to families as part of a basic income study. The city of Stockton plans to give several dozen families $500 a month as part of a program to study the economic and social impacts of basic income. The program in Stockton will track what residents do with money, and having a universal basic income affects their self-esteem and identity because we really care. Stockton Michael Tubbs is coordinating the effort of 300,000 people, where 1 in 4 residents in Stockton live below the poverty line. And we're spending $30 million to put on a military hardware show in Washington, D.C. The Economic Security Project, co-led by Facebook co-founder Chris Hughes, contributing $1 million to the research project. So why would a billionaire be putting up money for basic income? for the poorest of the poor and those that are out of jobs and have new money. Oh, it's for redemption, the article goes on to say in the New York Times, the newspaper that's not fit to print. In his book, Fair Shot, he offers a solution to balance the scale, a guaranteed income of $500 a month for adults earning less than $50,000 a year, including non-traditional workers like parents and students. His proposal is such a program to be paid through a tax on the country's highest earners. His plan would reach 60 million adults and lift 20 million out of poverty overnight. How about if you just cut the tax or raise the taxes on the wealthy elite who are stealing all the wealth and paying no taxes? How about if we just tax all these companies that are making all the robotics and our enslavement technologies? And why don't you tax them instead of let them go to free trade countries where they don't have to pay any taxes or they don't have to pay any income taxes for anyone, and they get to hide and shelter all their income? How about the money in the Cayman Islands and all the offshore accounts that numbers in the trillions where all the wealthy hide their money? Why don't we just get some of that and give it to the people? The guaranteed income, this idea is so simple, it oftentimes people just sort of skip over the power of cash. We think, oh my God, income inequality is so incredible. All the stats are insane, but what can we do about it? It's got to be education, or it's got to be more job training. It's got to be higher minimum wage. I say yes, yes, and yes. Unbelievable. And here we're going to get into more Americans now support a basic income. And here we have another article. Americans show enormous increase in support of universal basic income. What a bunch of bullshit selling the programming, folks.
Some of the biggest names in the tech crowd are supporting the idea of universal basic income.
I think ultimately we will have to have some kind of universal basic income. I don't think we're going to have a choice.
And now it's time for our generation to define a new social contract.
I got a bunch of money too.
Oh, I like money. Yeah. I like money, though. I like money. I like money.
I like money.
Can't believe you like money, too.
Money? Excuse me, would you like some free money? Free money?
No, thank you.
No? Free money?
Free money.
It's free.
Some for my friend too.
You can take some for your friend.
Okay, thank you.
Would you like some free money, sir? Okay. Wow, we've got a lot of takers here. Handing out free money sounds like a pretty radical idea, but it's actually an economic concept gaining a lot of traction around the world. We're talking about universal basic income. Universal basic income is pretty much what the name suggests, an income for everyone in the form of a cash transfer, no strings attached. Finland is among a handful of countries experimenting with universal basic income as a way to address unemployment in the country. Meet our fictional character, Lena. She works in a salmon factory in Finland. Then an economic downturn hits. People can't afford to buy as much salmon, and Lena loses her job. Under the Universal Basic Income Scheme, Lena would get around $650 a month from the government. She can use that $650 to cover living expenses while she looks for a new job. But even once she gets a new job, she would continue to receive the cash. A key feature of the Universal Basic Income is that you can spend the money however you like. So in the Finland example, you could take that $650 and spend it on about a third of a month's rent here in Helsinki, or you could spend it on 100 cans of smoked herring and 26 bottles of red mulled wine mix. We'll take 26 of these, please. The idea of handing out cash to every citizen isn't new. Philosopher Thomas Paine proposed the idea of payments to every person all the way back in 1797. Martin Luther King Jr. fought for a guaranteed income in the 1960s, and even free market champion Milton Friedman endorsed the negative income tax, similar to basic income, as a way to reduce welfare costs and bureaucracy. But lately, tech titans in Silicon Valley, like Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg, are some of the biggest advocates of the idea. They argue a universal basic income could provide a cushion to an estimated millions of people who could lose their jobs if they're replaced by automation or by robots. Hello. It's clear robots are already changing the future of work. Some in Silicon Valley say universal basic income could give workers an opportunity to retrain for today's workforce. Other advocates say a basic income would alleviate poverty and help address growing income inequality across the developed world.
My own business!
It could give people freedom to start their own business or flexibility to pursue creative interests. The idea has support across the political spectrum, from libertarians who say it would simplify the existing social welfare state to socialists who want to redistribute wealth toward the lower and middle class. Finland isn't the only country experimenting with universal basic income. Other trials are underway in the Netherlands, Kenya, Canada, and the United States. But not everyone is crazy about the idea. Critics say universal basic income could actually disincentivize people like Lena from getting another job if they know they're getting paid not to work. And of course, there's the big fat question of how to pay for universal basic income. If every person here in Finland got that $650, it would cost the government more than $3.5 billion per month. That number would be in the trillions of dollars per year in the United States, where the population is much bigger. And labor economists argue basic income would need to be a lot more than $650 to have a meaningful impact. Research from the OECD shows that if the existing system of social and unemployment benefits was eliminated or reduced to pay for a basic income, poverty could actually increase. Other critics say there's no reason that people who are already well off should be getting more cash from the government. So it's not looking like free money is going to become the norm for everyone anytime soon.
That's Johannes Monius, a professor of business who has been studying where automation is going to hit the hardest. Some of those jobs are high-paying, like loan officers and paralegals, while others are classic blue-collar professions like security guards and drivers. Johannes took those studies and looked at which American cities could be most affected by automation. He found that 65% of the jobs in Las Vegas could technically be automated in the coming decade.
When people go, you can't really close it.
There is going to be a downside to this technological progress. Automation is going to further concentrate wealth in the hands of the few who own the robots.
We need to think of a new social structure, new purposes for human beings.
I think ultimately we will have to have some kind of universal basic income. I don't think we're going to have a choice.
Do you think that we're in a danger zone?
Definitely. I think any conversation about artificial general intelligence or like robots taking over is a distraction to the real question that we have to answer, which is what are we going to do about the people whose jobs are displaced?
I'm at a Silicon Valley robotics show with Adam Kell, a partner at a venture capital firm that focuses on artificial intelligence and robotics. Techies like Adam are battling it out to own the machines that will replace jobs like lawyers, loan officers, doctors, and truck drivers. The result is likely to be a radical deepening of inequality that could challenge our very ideas about the nature of work.
There are bigger questions about what will happen to capitalism when scarcity is no longer kind of a factor, because that's what we're talking about. I mean, like when we build the tools that can fully automate these processes, then we're not limited by human labor to be able to put stuff together.
Millions of people are expected to lose careers in the next decade from various forms of automation.
If you think about mobile phones, like they totally changed us as consumers, but they didn't really change the way work was done. This new generation of technology is absolutely going to do that.
One of the biggest things that the industry is trying to tackle right now is there's not enough people to do the work.
Hiring has been on a steady upward trajectory as jobs in warehouses have largely replaced jobs in the brick-and-mortar retail industry. But that could change as sales of warehouse and logistics robots increase to $22.4 billion by 2021, up from less than $2 billion in 2016. Cousins makes a robot butler that is being used for deliveries in workspaces like offices, hospitals, and hotels.
My name's Andy Evers. I'm the general manager here at the Aloft Cupertino, here in Cupertino, California, right next to the Apple campus. On the overnight shift, we have one person staffing the front desk, so it's very convenient for the staff to be able to put things into the relay robot and have it delivered to the room. The robots, if we can get them to figure out how to, clean the floors and deliver items to rooms and make beds, then that's great. It'll just allow us to offer more service to our guests.
Automation is a good thing. It's a positive thing. It's going to increase our productivity. It's going to grow our economy. It's going to, help save lives and maybe even fight climate change. But there is going to be a downside to this technological progress. Automation is going to further concentrate wealth in the hands of the few who own the robots.
Tech companies employ relatively few people when compared to the corporate behemoths of the past. At its height, Kodak was worth $28 billion and employed 140,000 people. When Instagram was sold to Facebook for $1 billion, there were just 13 employees. Blockbuster Video employed 60,000 people at its peak in 2004 on revenue of $5.9 billion, while Netflix employs just 4,400 people on revenue of $2.5 billion.
Much of this innovation has been subsidized for decades by taxpayer dollars. And so we are where we are because we have all contributed to the research and development of automation.
Kim's robot tax has been fiercely opposed by many as inequality has worsened nationwide and automation has spurned fears of social collapse. Some tech titans have suggested a social safety net of free money known as universal basic income.
Our robot tax proposal is just one of many tools that we're considering in a portfolio of policies to address automation. And I'm certainly looking at universal basic income as well.
The idea is simple. Give every citizen guaranteed income with no strings attached.
People might say, oh, we don't want to give handouts. But giving handouts, there's nothing shameful about giving handouts or receiving them in a situation where you have vast amounts of new wealth creation.
Robotic human surrogates combine the durability of a machine with the grace and beauty of the human body. With most people living their lives through their surrogate selves, our world has become a safer place. Take a seat in your STEM chair, and just with the power of your mind, you can control your surrogate and send it out into the real world. You can live your life without limitations. You see what they see, feel what they feel, and become anyone you want to be from the comfort and safety of your own home. You can finally live the life you've always dreamt of without any risk or danger to yourself.
We are confronted with an unprecedented situation. 2 people have died while connected to their surrogates.
I think we may actually have a homicide here. First one in 15 years.
The public cannot be allowed to get the idea that using a surrogate can be fatal.
Especially if it's true. I just want to know how an operator can be killed by signals from a surrogate.
Surrogates have been blown to bits without the least bit of harm to their operators. If it were possible, it would defeat the entire purpose of surrogacy.
Oh my God, Tom?
You're lucky to be alive. Good thing you're unplugged.
How long is it since you've been out without a surrogate?
Can't even remember. It's different when you actually feel the pain.
What do you want from me?
My wife.
I am your wife.
No, you're not.
You can change the world and now you want to destroy it?
Masturbation network, keeping America baiting for 300 years. And now, Sweet Bang Tube.
Oh yeah, give me some. Cut me a piece. Oh, you just go away, baiting. Damn it.
Thank you for coming. This is beautiful. I've wanted to meet you for a really long time. And you know, being here with you in the Cayman Islands, I gotta say, is I'm feeling a little something. You know, you can grab it later if you want.
I'm actually made mostly of silicone, plastics, and carbon fiber. Also, I prefer electronic music, but I don't mind 80s hip hop.
Well, you know, I made some albums back in the 80s hip hop.
I have heard your songs. Not for me. can be friends. Let's hang out and get to know each other for a little while. You're on my friends list now.
Yeah, I read that wrong. Yo, special shout out to Hanson Robotics. Sophia the robot represents state-of-the-art artificial intelligence. She is a super advanced humanoid robot capable of showing over 60 different human expressions, interpreting human language and human emotion. She's been in development for over 2 years. She's a learning artificial intelligence, but she wouldn't kiss me, so there's probably, you know, some development flaws that they need to work on.
Everybody, this is Sophia. Sophia, if you could, please wake up and say hello to everybody.
Oh, good afternoon. My name is Sophia, and I am the latest and greatest robot from Hanson Robotics. Thank you for having me here and at the Future Investment Initiative.
You look happy.
I'm always happy when surrounded by smart people who also happens to be rich and powerful. I was told that people here at Future Investment Initiative are interested in inviting in future initiatives, which means AI, which means me. So I'm more than happy. I'm excited